Alrighty guys, this is Andrew and welcome to another Overwatch guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Pudge, or Stitches, no, what's his name? Roadhog, of course, yet another hook-based hero in another game. The design of the hook thing has been through many different games, but it's great to see Roadhog in here, this little Overwatch iteration. I think he fits quite well in the Overwatch ecosystem. Anyways, we'll be going over his stats, abilities, playstyle, as well as his hero matchups. And before I get too into this, because I know someone in the future is going to say something, but please take note of the date of this video. Numbers will probably change as Overwatch ages, but I highly don't think Roadhog's playstyle overall is going to change. So please bear that in mind. If they do end up changing, I'll go ahead and make adjustments in the description. Anyways, Roadhog's official sort of class title falls under a tank, and he's got 600 HP to work with. However, I don't think he's your typical tank. Not because he's got the biggest outie belly button I've ever seen, but because he doesn't really have any real damage blocking shields. For example, Reinhardt, he gets a shield that can block 2,000 damage. I mean, Winston, he has the bubble shield. Roadhog isn't necessarily a damage soaker like the other tanks, however his unique kit allows him to do some more aggressive playstyles. His first ability is going to be the Scrap Gun, which is essentially a giant shotgun that shoots out metal recyclables. The primary fire, which is the left click, will hit for a maximum of about 225 damage if you land all 25 pellets, hitting for the maximum damage of 9 damage per pellet onto the enemy. Obviously this gun suffers from a massive drop-off range, and given how it's got huge spread, the primary fire is best used at very close ranges. The rate of fire is pretty slow at 1 round per second, and you're only given 4 rounds per quote-unquote magazine, but the burst damage is pretty incredible, and the reload speed is quite reasonable at 1.5 seconds, so you're not going to be waiting too long until your gun is back up and ready to go. Now what is handy about the Scrap Gun is that you don't have to rely on the primary fire. It's got a secondary fire which extends the range pretty significantly. The alternate fire, which is the right click, the Scrap Gun will shoot out a ball of scrap that will do about 50 damage out until about 8 meters, and then it'll explode into the full shotgun blast. So these two firing modes will actually complement each other and allow Roadhog some flexibility. And the key here is really just, knowing when to use each firing mode. If you try to use the right click when the enemy is too close, you're just going to do 50 damage, which isn't a whole lot when you compare to the full potential of the primary fire. Next up, we have a signature ability, sort of feared across different games, but it's made its appearance here in Overwatch, and that is the chain hook. The hook itself has a 6-second cooldown, pretty short. It'll hit for 30 damage on contact. The range itself is pretty decent at 22 meters, but the real benefit of hook comes with the utility. It essentially drags your enemies close to you so you can give them the old shotgun blast to the face. Now the hook does stun, so that means it can cancel channeling abilities. Now we're talking about Reaper's ultimate, we're talking about Pharah's ultimate, we're talking about Roadhog's ultimate, Whole Hog, McCree's ult, they're all channeling abilities. So if you're able to land the hook and stun someone in the middle of the channeling, you will actually stop them from completing the ultimate. You can also hook a Reinhardt out of his charge, as well as a Bastion out of Sentry mode. So this hook, man, it's got some crazy ass utility. Very awesome stuff. Now the textbook combo that I'm aware of is essentially hooking your enemies, going for the primary shot from your shotgun, and then going for the quick melee. This will rack up some insane burst damage, and even if you aren't able to kill them, you can always finish them off with the remaining shotgun shells you have in your gun. The idea behind the chain hook is essentially isolating your targets. If you're near your allies, it's usually a free kill if your allies can focus down on whoever's getting hooked in. And while the cooldown on the hook is relatively short, it's only 6 seconds, you do want to make sure you prioritize hooking in the supports first. If not, go for the squishier defense or offense heroes, and lastly, go for the tanks. Tanks are a little trickier just because the hook cannot actually go through shields, so don't be surprised if you get cock-blocked by Reinhardt or Winston. You may want to try a different positioning or just go for another target entirely. Obviously, if there's a situation where you see like a channeling ult just destroying your teammates, you can shut that down with your handy-dandy hook. Roadhog's next ability is Take a Breather, and this gives Roadhog so much flexibility and sustain. I'm not exactly sure what he's snorting from that flask, but it seems to be working very well. Essentially heals him for 300 HP in 1 second. The cooldown is short at 8 seconds long. It's pretty amazing, I've got to say. It allows you to even tank certain situations just by outright out-healing the damage coming in. A helpful little tip here for you guys who aren't aware is that you can actually cast this ability while you're jumping. So what I've been doing is basically activating the heal as I jump around a corner to safety. That split second that you shave off while you're casting the Take a Breather ability in the air could actually save you in a fast-paced game like Overwatch. The ability itself is a channeling ability, and it will stop if you get stunned, so just kind of bear that in mind before you cast it. Now, Roadhog's ultimate ability is the Whole Hog, which essentially turns a scrap gun into a hand-cranked minigun of death. It does do a lot of damage across the 6 seconds during its duration. Incredibly effective when you're really close to the enemy, though. The actual damage model is a little unclear this time, but if I ever come across the actual numbers, I'll be sure to post it down in the description. It fires continuously for those 6 seconds, and it has quite a bit of recoil, but it can push back enemies. The pushback is both a good and bad thing. It's great for those moments where you need to hold the enemy back from a point, or if you want to get creative and push them off the map. However, you have to be sure that the knockback isn't ruining any sort of combo your team is trying to pull off. This may be sort of like a fringe case or a minority of situations, but I've been in situations where, like, I'm playing Mei, I've landed my perfect ice ultimate, and I had a teammate playing as Roadhog, and he just kind of ults the targets and pushes them away, so he can't really follow up on the damage. His ultimate is great for disrupting the enemy lines, but just kind of be aware of when you're using the Whole Hog. One thing to note is that it is also a channeling ability, so if you get hooked or stunned by another player, the ability will pretty much stop. So, sort of a pain in the ass, but it's good to know. Anyway, so what is Roadhog's playstyle, right? We've gone over his abilities, we've gone over his stats. What is his playstyle? Well, in my opinion, he's not that great at being a traditional tank. While he can heal for 300 HP with Take a Breather, he can't, like, reliably soak up that damage nearly as efficiently as the other tanks, just because the enemies basically see him as a ultimate recharge battery, right? They just essentially keep pecking at him, and the damage that they do to him go directly to their ultimate counter. Shields like Reinhardt or Winston's, they don't actually charge up the ultimate. So I would say he's definitely more of like an aggressive tank, and would benefit well on a team that has a tank already. Now, because Roadhog's hook is great at singling out enemies, I would say that he is most effective when the enemy does not see his hook coming. I'm not saying he's a great deep flanker like Tracer or Reaper, because he's got really crappy mobility, not nearly as mobile as those guys, but I would relatively stay near my teammates as Roadhog, just kind of off to the side. That way, if I hook someone in, hopefully my teammates will act on that hook and sort of use that momentum for a successful push. As far as matchups go, this is a tough one because Roadhog is great against most of the squishy heroes in the game, but a lot of it comes down to good positioning and landing that friggin' hook. For example, you could say Roadhog's great at taking out squishy heroes like Zenyatta, but that's contingent on Roadhog being able to land the hook and follow up with damage. You could also say on the flip side, Zenyatta could be considered a great counter to Roadhog, given how squishy Roadhog becomes with the Discord orb on him. Roadhog's success depends on how well you can land his abilities. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Most Roadhogs I see use the hook into Shotgun Blast into melee combo, and that works fantastic against heroes under 300 HP. However, there are a lot of heroes like Tracer, Reaper, Genji, that can dodge or escape after being hooked in, so make sure you utilize your alternate fire on your scrap gun to finish off the runners. I think this also has a lot to do with latency as well between players, so kind of keep out an eye for that. Now, besides those toss-up scenarios where it depends on your hook landing and all that stuff, there are a few heroes that I think give Roadhog a lot of trouble, and top of the list, I would say Mei and Junkrat are there, man. They are pretty tough to go against as Roadhog. Junkrat has the ability to essentially attack around corners. You can bounce your grenades around corners. So if you try to push onto a Junkrat as Roadhog, you're very likely to suffer a lot of damage from the grenades and possibly walk into one of his traps. I also want to add in here, the Riptire can also take out a full HP Roadhog. It does 600 damage, so you gotta be super careful with that as well. Now, obviously, this all goes out the window if you're able to land a combo on Junkrat, as his HP is quite low. You should be able to take him out in a combo. However, a smart Junkrat should be able to lock down an entire passageway, and once he kind of gets set up, it gets really difficult to take him out. Mei can also prove pretty deadly because she has amazing control. Get it? Amazing. Amazing control with her freeze, and has great damage potential with the easy headshots from her icicle shooter. She can also heal herself and dodge a lot of your combo, not to mention wall you off so you can't hook her or her teammates. Reaper's another good counter against Roadhog. He's pretty deadly with his Hellfire shotguns. They do massive damage, especially since Roadhog is so friggin' fat. The model's ginormous, so you're gonna be catching every single bullet that's coming out of Reaper's shotguns. The Wraith form for Reaper does give him a chance to escape, so just remember to use your right click to try to finish off the Reaper that is escaping. Tanks in general are pretty tough for Roadhog, but I wouldn't consider them like a counter to Roadhog, more of like just harder to take out because you can't exactly finish them in one burst. Anyways guys, that is my complete rundown of Roadhog. Obviously there are many things that I didn't cover here that you guys may think are important, so please let me know down in the comments if you guys have any sort of additional tips for the others regarding Roadhog. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I do plan on doing more of these, so stay tuned for more coming out in the future. Anyways, that's just about it for today, so until next time, I'll see you in the next one.